Something about being a filmmaker is that we're full of emotions. Doesn't matter if the feeling's happy or sad, we just tend to feel a lot. Sometimes that's a good thing, but other times we can spiral into something we're not necessarily proud of. But just like a musician has their instrument, I have my camera and storytelling. And whatever feeling it is that I have inside, I'm going to try to capture it the only way I know how. So I shot that beginning sequence by myself, and I love those dramatic sequences, but for the longest time I didn't shoot stuff like that because I didn't have someone to shoot it for or someone there. And a lot of us use that excuse that because we're independent online creators, we can't create stuff that we really want to create because we don't have what it takes. We don't have either the people or we don't have the equipment. We are filmmakers, we are storytellers, and if there's an emotion or a story that you just have to get off your chest, go ahead and do that. It doesn't matter if it's the worst thing in the world or if it's something that you're probably not even going to show anyone. Just go ahead and try to get that off your chest, tell that story. Just like anyone else has their medium and their format to be able to express themselves and be able to express their emotion, their feeling. It's the same thing with the camera and storytelling, filmmaking. Like, that's what we are inclined to do, where we want to tell whatever it is that we have inside our mind or chest, our emotion. We want to put it in that video form, so go ahead and do that. But stepping aside from just telling you to go create, what is some tangible advice? What are some techniques that you can implement into shooting by yourself that is really gonna help you take things to a different level? So I want to kind of talk about my thought process when I'm setting up a shot by myself and some things that you could think about as well. Okay, so when shooting a sequence, before you start lighting it and getting everything ready, you want to block it out. And this is rehearse the action. What is the character doing? In this sense, it's you. So what are you doing in this scene that you're about to record? Kind of rehearse your action, everything you do. So the blocking of my character is just gonna go to the bookcase, pick up the camera, and then walk out. So then you want to think about how you're gonna do it. Where is the character going to look? How is he gonna pick it up? What's he gonna do with it when he picks it up? And these are all little things to think about. So then you could think about the second thing, and this is shot variation. So shot variation is the different shots you're gonna get. Like, are you just gonna get 5 different shots, or you're gonna get 7, 10, or are you just gonna do one in one angle, right? So after you think about what the character is doing, how many different angles do you want to get of this character doing that one thing? And when shooting by yourself, shot variation is super important because you don't have someone else behind the camera, so you can't get sweeping shots, you can't get movement unless you buy sliders or more expensive gear. But if you're just shooting by yourself, right, I guess you're limited with supplies, so shot variation is super important. Having a wide shot, close shot, and then a shot behind, and just moving and doing a lot of different shots is gonna convey movement without actually having movement. And that's a super important thing. You don't wanna just linger on one shot, get boring. And something else to think about is having unique looking shots. What is the most unique shot that you can get from a basic action? Just me picking up the camera, you can shoot it a million different ways depending on how you see the world. And thinking about shots that are unique to yourself and what you like to see, and taking a few techniques as putting things like in the foreground, shooting through something, having background, having all those little things is gonna add that uniqueness. So what is something different that only you can create, or something that you see and you think it's pleasing, right? Those are gonna be the shots that are gonna stand out and make it look a little bit more professional, a little bit more real than just someone with a camera shooting something. It's gonna be more planned. And the last thing I think about is lighting and where the lights are placed in my scene. Having lights in the background, like in that closet or up here on that shelf, it adds depth because it feels like it's an actual room, and you can also see the stuff in the room. Instead of it just being a dark closet back there, I can actually see that there's a lens back there. There's a thing to hold my gear so you can have a sense of that this is a real room, that this is a room of a filmmaker who has different gear placed in different situations, different places. And I also have this lamp back there, which is lighting up that space right here, but what it's also doing is adding a little kick to me, so it's separating me from my background, so I'm not just lost in the background, but I have a little light that's adding separation. And also where your key light is coming from. Your key light is the main light hitting your subject, so my key light is coming from that way. So if I was shooting the scene, I want to think about where my key light is hitting compared to where my camera is. The direction of the subject compared to where the camera is very important. If I'm looking this way and my subject is looking this way towards the light and the camera is on the opposite side where the shadows are at, it's going to be a lot more pleasing. So instead of having your subject flat and washed out, you're shooting on the dark side so you can have all those shadows that the light is creating. You can see it on the subject with your camera. And a lot of movies do that, where they shoot on the dark side or they have light coming on the opposite side of the camera, so it adds texture, it adds depth, it adds character. And that's very big when shooting something dramatic, is all that contrast, you know, where it's coming from, what's going on. Because if you think about a very flat image that has no contrast, that has very little shadows, you think of a sitcom or you think of a comedy, because for the most part, dramatic movies are filmed a lot darker, a lot more contrast. They have hard light hitting in different places instead of it just being flat, super soft and washed out. You have all these characteristics playing with the shadows and all these textures, and that's what you want to try to think about when shooting a dramatic scene for yourself or for other people. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of that, and if you did, then stick around for the next one.